I am going to show you how to make the best hot fudge I have ever had. And unfortunately, I do not have a good angle in my kitchen to show you both the pan and my face at the same time. So I'm going to kind of alternate between talking to you and showing you what's happening in the pan. But it's going to be worth it. So hang in there with me. So, key ingredient, Baker's German sweet chocolate. It just is a little bit of a different flavor than you would get with chocolate chips or anything like that. So if you can get your hands on this, a lot of times you can get it at any major grocery store or even Target. So it's not super rare, but it's just something where you don't necessarily go to look for it unless you know to look for it, but it is worth it. Find it, make this hot fudge. So right now I have it melting with the butter, and I'm just using a gentle heat, medium, so 5 out of 10 on my stove. And you can see it just becomes this really luxurious, silky hot fudge already, and we're gonna add a couple more ingredients still. A little bit of half and half, a little bit of sugar, and you'll see in the recipe I give a range because one of the things that's special about this is that it's not a sugar bomb like a lot of hot fudges are. And then the other thing that's a little bit different from most hot fudges is you add a little bit of salt. And it just adds this balance that you don't expect in a hot fudge, but that makes it so good. So as soon as you have those, at this point we have 5 ingredients. We have the German sweet chocolate, we have the butter, we have the half and half, the sugar, and the salt. And you're just gonna bring it to a low boil. I kick my temperature up to 6 out of 10 on my stove, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. It's one of those things where you don't want to walk away. You don't want to just leave it. But it starts smelling so heavenly, you just don't mind. When we were kids, we all had the same favorite birthday cake, and it was an ice cream cake. And actually, my dad too, it was his favorite. All you do is you make a crust out of crushed Oreos and butter. I believe it's a package of crushed Oreos to like a quarter to a half a cup of butter. Feel it out. It should be able to pack nicely without being too loose in the bottom of a 13 by 9 pan. And you freeze that, and then you make this hot fudge. And by the way, mine is about at a boil. And I'm going to show you because it's not a rolling boil and you don't want it to get to a rolling boil. It's just this really gentle bubbling. So you can see it's not rolling, and it starts looking a little bit grainy, but don't worry about that because it will come back together. That's just the sugar that still needs to dissolve. But it should be shiny like this, and you should be starting to see those little bubbles come up. And as soon as you do, that's when you set your timer for 4 minutes, and you stand there stirring it the whole time. But again, it's going to smell so good, you will not mind. And if you have to turn down your temperature to make sure it doesn't hit a rolling boil, feel free to do that. You can adjust yours. I put mine between 4 and 5, and keep an eye on it. So to make the ice cream cake, you just, you freeze your crust, and then you make this hot fudge. You pour it in an even layer on top of the crust and refreeze it, and it turns into this just luxurious fudgy layer. And then you soften any flavor ice cream you want. You spread it over the top. Sprinkle some crushed Oreos on top, freeze the whole kit and caboodle, and it turns into a really impressive ice cream cake for not a lot of money and not a lot of work, but it is so good. And I have so many great memories of that ice cream cake from my growing up years and from every summer. My dad's birthday would always happen on vacation. We went to the same cottage in the Adirondacks every year, and I have so many memories of being on the porch and having that cake for his birthday. And so I wanted to share this because I think it can be such a memory maker, and taste has so many associations with our memory. If you don't already have a signature recipe like this, you can take this one. I will say I've adapted the recipe some. The original recipe called for margarine, which I don't really use. And it actually, believe it or not, called for more sugar and fat. This has plenty. It is plenty. You do not miss it. I think it actually turns out a little more balanced and a little more nuanced this way, and I like it. So when your timer goes off, you turn off your heat, and you can see that it has gone back to silky and smooth. The sugar has evaporated. And we're just going to stand here for about 5 minutes. You don't have to stir it constantly anymore, but every minute or two, give it a stir. And then this is actually where you add your vanilla. You don't want to scorch the vanilla, so you wait till the end to add it. But you'll add it now, and it's going to help give it that complex flavor that makes it so special.